So the way this works is it obviously slots into that door, and then this turns and moves the door from one direction to the other. Working on this Vibe, we did several jobs at the same time, so in order to make shorter videos showing each part, we had to cut things up a bit. Be sure to check out our channel for more from this job, and today we're only focusing on the Blendor Actuator and the HVAC blower motor. Take note, anytime you're working on stuff like this, you must disable the Airbag Srs system. Now this entails things such as disconnecting the negative battery terminal, removing the AM2 fuse, waiting 5 minutes, draining any remaining power, and of course disconnecting airbag modules you're working on or near. But be thorough. People have been killed by unintended airbag deployments while they're working on dashboard or interior components. Always consult your service manual for the correct manufacturer steps to properly disable this system. Well, this all turned out to be a little easier than I expected. I came out after dinner and thought, oh, I'll go ahead and see what it takes to pull the dash out. And about 20 minutes later, the dash was out. This is really simple. So, looks like that is our Recirc door actuator there. Yeah, there it is down there. That should be it. So a couple notes. I'll show you the radio. I took that out first. That was basically just removing this panel, which was pretty simple. So here's that radio trim panel. So just using our trim tools, it just pops out nice and easy. And I don't think there are any screws in this. It was just all these electrical connectors are all just push pins, and as you can see, they're all different. Push pin on this one. This looks like the blower motor resistor, actually. So that's good to know if that ever fails. And this right here is like a cable for one of the blenders. I think it's for the heat and AC, or the cool and hot. As you can see, this one's broken a little bit. This plastic is pretty brittle. It is, 2005, so it's, 18 years old or whatever that would be. Math, 16 years old. But anyway, there's a little cable in here. All you got to do is move either end of these and you can pop that cable out. But other than that, this thing popped off super easy. As you can see, we did have to take the lower trim off the steering wheel. We had to take the instrument bezel off and the little bezel where the mirror and lighting controls are. So here is our monsoon head unit, and it was pretty simple when it was in there. There was two 10mm bolts on top, and then a little further back there were two 10mm bolts. So 4 10mm bolts, and this thing popped right out. On the back side you had your antenna connection, which is pulled right out, and then 2 wiring connectors that were pulled out. So we're gonna have to figure out the wiring on this monsoon head unit to put our new head unit in. That'll be a whole separate video. We'll talk a little bit about that because I don't think we're gonna get to it today. But we pulled that out. We had already pulled the negative terminal, so that's the first thing you got to do. Make sure you have your negative battery terminal pulled. And then we pulled in the fuse block the AM2 fuse. Let me go around and show you that. Okay, so the fuse block is like up under here, but it's really hard to get to. I'm not even sure if you'll be able to see it. Yeah, there it is. And when you look in there, you're gonna see, hopefully you have the cover, you're gonna see an AM2 fuse. It's a 15 amp. It's right next to a 25 amp wiper fuse. I went ahead and pulled that out. Okay, hopefully you can see that fuse block area where I marked it with yellow paint. That's where that 15 amp goes. That's the AM2 fuse. So we went ahead and pulled that out after pulling our negative connection. And frankly, we went a little further. We actually pulled the entire battery out because we wanted to charge it out of the car and test it one more time. And we got it up to 377 cold cranking amps on the tester. So we're gonna go ahead and preventatively replace it. It's the kind of thing, once winter hits, winter's gonna kill it. So we're gonna go ahead and replace it. All right, so battery disconnected for 2 minutes or more. Pulled the AM2 fuse, another 2 minutes, and just wait. You wanna make sure there's no power in the system. Make sure you have to do something like tap the brake pedal or something like that. Make sure there's no power running in the car. Once we had that done, we turned the wheel a little bit, and on our steering wheel cover, you can kind of see right there, there were 2 screws, one on either side, take those Phillips head screws out. And then on the bottom of the lower panel, there is another screw. You can see it right there. I put it back in the lock cylinder. So 3 screws in total, all Phillips head. And then you can pop off with a trim panel tool, pop off the lower connector. Once you do that, you're going to see this yellow connector. Remember, yellow signifies the restraint system or airbags. So we went ahead and disconnected that. That's going to disable our driver's side airbag, so we don't have any risk of that going off in our face. That's pretty important. And we went to the other side. We popped the glove box out, which takes like 10 seconds. Just squeeze either side, drops down, and it actually pops right out. Nothing to it. Of course, while we're in here, we're going to put a new cabin air filter in, but that's not what we were doing. What we wanted to do was, well, you can't see the other end of the connector because it's in the dashboard, but our passenger side airbag module was up here. Yellow connector, we disconnected that. So that was the next thing that we did before we did anything else. So now both our airbags are disconnected from the system. There's no power to the car at all. So our risk of blowing an airbag in our face is a lot smaller. So there is a 13mm bolt. You'll see it, it's up, kind of goes up in this little hole right here. And yeah, and this little thing right there where my finger was. Hope you can see that. There, that's a little better. And that bolts into the airbag module. So you take that 13mm bolt out, make sure you label it. That goes to the airbag module. And this is a good time if you haven't had your airbag recall done, go do it. And honestly, if you're trying to replace that unit over there, it might be a good time to have the dealer take care of it. Say, hey, while you're doing the recall, if you got the dash out, go ahead and pop that thing in. It's like 5 minutes of work once you got this done. All right, so back in the car, a few more things that we took off. Let me turn my light on. We did remove the A-post trim, which you do need to do for the dash. Super easy. We used our trim panel remover right here, and it popped off super easy. Now, we might have been lucky because this car recently had the Takata airbag recall done, so it's possible that they removed all this stuff, because let me tell you, it all just popped right off, super simple. But panel popper right here. We pulled the A-panel out on both sides, the trim. On this side of the car, we popped off our instrument panel bezel. So to do that, we lowered the steering wheel tilt all the way down, used a panel tool coming in here, popped it loose, and then the whole thing came off. And then up underneath the instrument panel is the wire for the automatic headlights. Has a push pin on the back side. We pushed it in, pulled that out. That mounts on the top of the instrument panel cluster of the upper dashboard panel. So you'll see it under there. All right, once that was done, and this was all out of the way, we took off 4 screws. There's one here. There's one that goes here. You'll see it inside under the hood of the upper dashboard, and it connects to the instrument cluster. And then you have 2 on either side of the center console. You have one right here, and you have one right here. Once that was done, this thing is super simple. Literally just pop up, work your way around, pop the front of the dashboard up all the way. It should come up, no problem. And then lift it up and pull it out. And unfortunately, I didn't shoot video pulling it out, but just lift it up, pull it out. Now, the biggest thing you got to be careful of is you got to tilt it up enough to get it over your steering wheel, which you left in the lowest position to help yourself. But the other thing here, you've still got the airbag module in the upper dash. So you want to be careful when you pull that out that you don't bang it up on stuff. Pull the cord, make sure you keep an eye on the cord for it, and then you can go ahead and pull that out. So we'll take a look at the upper dash so you can kind of see, but I'm just amazed how simple it was. You know, obviously the entire dashboard hasn't had to come out, and it doesn't look like it has to because the part we're looking for is right there. And while we're in here, we can go ahead and tackle some of the radio wiring because we're going to replace our head unit. So our wiring is all here. We can get that all set up the way we want it, put everything back together, and just slap our new head unit in. So there's a lot of benefits to doing a bunch of stuff at once. So I'm going to link to a web archive. It's a very old forum thread. A lot of the pictures had disappeared. I actually found it and used it as a little guide and kind of just pointed me in the right direction. Obviously, a service manual will take you even further. Let's take a look under the dash panel really quick. All right, so here is that bezel piece that we popped off. We talked about using a tool to pop from the bottom. Once we released the bottom, we were able to pull it out. The odometer button came through and just stayed on its stalk, so we had no problems with that. And then underneath this, I've got this sitting here for a couple days, so I put it on a nice support. So as you can see, there's the airbag module, and I've got it so the metal is sitting on this 2x4. So that way it's propped up and it's not going to risk, like I said, pinching that wire or sitting on the module there itself. So we'll let this sit while we're waiting for parts, and it'll be suspended like this so that nothing gets damaged. But that's it. Like I said, the thing just popped right out. There's some clips along the windshield. So when you pull it, I went to either side before I removed it and made sure that it pulled free. So I lifted up in the front and then I pulled forward, and it popped out with very little effort on this one. But again, it had a recent airbag recall done, so it's possible it was easier than it would be on a car that hasn't had it out in many years. But if your car hasn't had it out in many years, that means you might not have had the airbag recall done. So maybe you should go do that, because you don't want one of them Takata airbags in there. Here is our Blendor Actuator. We're going to go ahead and get that removed. We got to disconnect our electrical connector. Looks like it has a push pin on the side. There we go. So just using this tool, went ahead and pushed up on that, was able to remove it. Biggest issue that we're going to have here, and hopefully I don't drop this, this is a 5.5 millimeter, and you're going to have a little bit of trouble getting a socket in here, as you can tell. What we're going to do, using our gear wrench socket with our flex head, we can kind of gain just a little bit of access in here. And I found that these aren't on that tight, and there is a little bit of movement in this duct, and it's enough to get it on there and go ahead and loosen it. So if you start, rounding it, obviously stop. What you could probably do, looks like there's a push pin right here. If you loosen that, this whole thing would probably move a little more, but I don't want to disturb it too much and break any plastic. So looks like I've already got it started. The one on the bottom shouldn't be a problem. It should just be that one right there. Coming in here, should be able to get that enough, and then you can take the socket off and do the rest by hand. Like I said, it is tight. You could probably get a 5.5 wrench. I might have a small one somewhere, but I was able to get it with this, so I'm happy. Now the big thing is, don't drop anything down in there into the abyss. It'd probably just come out the bottom, but you don't want to chance that. Watch, we're going to drop it now. Oh, no, there we go. All right, easy enough. Put that where we don't lose it. And let's go ahead and take the bottom one off. So it's kind of by feel. It's down here. You should be able to feel it. Kind of mark where it is with your finger. Get your ratchet on it. And there it goes. Should only be 2 of them. All right, a little hard to see because my big hand's going to be in the way. Okay, don't drop it, don't drop it. There it is. And then this unit should just pop off. So I'm going to put my fingers on the little door here. There's a little foam piece and there's the door that pivots. And I am just going to hold that just in case it wants to fall down. Yeah, see how it wants to flop there now? So the way this works is it obviously slots into that door. And then this turns and moves the door from one direction to the other. So hopefully you can see that with my little head-mounted camera. So Recirc, this would pull air from the inside. External, this blocks off the inside and pulls air from the outside. So that's all this little thing does. When you hit that Recirc button, it turns this little motor which has some gears inside, and most likely these gears are stripped. I do understand you can open these up and swap the gear around like 180 degrees so that it'll be on good threads. Maybe we'll do that on the bench, but I've already bought the part. I'm going to put the new one in and we'll put this one aside. All All right, so here's our new one, AC Delco, just like the original. And yep, there it is. So all we got to do is get this lined up. It's kind of keyed, so it should be pretty simple. All right, I think we got it. Okay, and I'll get them started by hand. As I said, I know this blocks the entire view, but when you're in doing it, you'll see where it is. It's super simple. As opposed to simple. There's super simple and there's simple. I guess then mega simple. Is mega better than super? I don't know. I think it is. I think mega is pretty up there. Okay, that's good enough for that one for now. Now the tough one, I'm going to be reaching in blind, trying to find where to slide this in and get it started. So it should be down there, I think. There's something. Is it screwing in? Yep, I think it is. I think we got it. Yeah, we don't need to crank these down too much because we don't want to break any of the plastic. Look at that. I was able to get my wrench in there good. Get that one snug. And that one snug. All right, and let's find our connector. Here's our connector. Plug that back in. That's it. Wow, how about that? All right, while we're in here, let's go ahead and do our cabin air filter. Looks pretty simple. There's a little door right here. Yeah, there we go. Flip that little door down. There we go. This one seemed to want to be pinched on either side and then it'll slide out. Now look, I'm not showing you exactly how to do this because you probably see what I see on my head mounted unit. I'm pretty sure if you're in here with the dash apart, you can figure out how to do the cabin air filter. I didn't do a separate video on that, unfortunately for you, sorry. But if you're curious, little clips on the top, pop them up, pull it down. And then you can see your blower motor in there. Okay, and then make sure our airflow is pointing in the right direction. We'll slide the new one in. Close our little door. Good enough. All right, that's that. Thought I was going to replace the blower motor. Yeah, it looks like I got to remove the PCM or something. There's some sort of module under here. If you can see that module under there. Looks like got a couple bolts that go there. I am going to replace the blower motor fan because this one was whining quite a bit and it had a TYC sticker on it, which I don't know where I saw that because now I'm not seeing it, but it had a TYC sticker. TCBY. Is that TYC? That's an aftermarket part. So more than likely this thing had its blower motor replaced at some point. I highly doubt that's an OEM unit, but I mean, I suppose it could be. But TYC, and it's making some noise. I think it's got a bearing whine to it. So I went ahead and picked one up from Continental VDO. It's like gonna match the tires. We just put Continental tires on. But here is our new blower. It's kind of cool. You can see that they balance them. They put little, and they look like they're different sizes. So they must be like little tiny, like, you know, half gram or gram weights. that they put on to balance this assembly. So pretty cool. But so it looks like all we got is one connector, some sort of a hose line, and we'll be able to replace that. So looks like we got some 13 millimeters. Or no, wait, this is a 10. Those are 10 millimeters. Everything looks big under here. So anyway, there's 10 millimeters, and we got, feels like just a bracket that it slides into. Might just pop out. So let's take these off and see what we get. If you're not just randomly taking things off, are you having fun? No. And look, broken plastic floating around in there. All right, this thing looks like it'll pop out fairly easily. And just fold out of the way without disconnecting it. So it's a Toyota computer, engine control. I thought we were working on a Pontiac. Oh, all right. Anyway. All right, so the little hose goes up there. Here's the electrical connector. I know you can't see anything that I'm doing. Oh, that's kind of cool. To be fair, I can't see what I'm doing. I'm just reaching in, feeling for stuff. And I want this computer out of the way without shocking it with electrical static and ESD. All right, so it just had a little push pin at the top or bottom. I just squeezed it and it came out. All right, can we actually get to the bolts? Yep, one. Should only be 3 bolts holding the thing. There's 2. That means the third one is back here somewhere. Oh, the third one's not even in. Somebody messed up. I don't think you're going to be able to see that unless I can try to put this up here, but try to get you a view up in there. I mean, I can't even see, so. I don't know if you can see anything there, but it looks like the bolt in the back's not even connected. More proof that this was removed at some point. All right, they are. So that's all you got holding that in is a little 5.5 millimeter bolt. Yeah, only 2 holding it in. That's probably why it was making noise. Oh no, that's why. Yeah. Listen to it, it sounds like an angry old man. Oh, silent. Shh, listen. I hear nothing. It's quiet. All right. So, question of the day is, where did this bolt go? No, it's totally missing. It's not up there at all. All right, I'm gonna try to show you all this so you can see up in there, hopefully. And then I have no idea if you can even see what I'm trying to show you. But you can kind of see where it mounts, and you can get to it. You can get to it fairly easily just by dropping the PCM out of the way. But it's hard to get cameras up there, so we're going to go ahead and reinstall it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my bolt bins, and I've actually got some penny washers that might work, and I do have some interior screws that might work. So I'm going to go try to find something that'll work, rig it up, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so here's the original screw. Is again, there was only 2 of these in there, and there should be 3, and it's got a little washer on it, flat washer. So I went in my little penny washer set, and I found something that's relatively close. It's a tiny bit bigger, but I'm hoping that it'll still work because it doesn't look like there's much in the way here. And I've got this screw, which is Phillips head, but combined with that washer, it's going to match up pretty close, and it's about the same length, and it should screw in there. But man, look at this thing all bent up. Probably what broke it. It was probably flopping around in there. All right, our new one is in, and let's hope it lasts longer than the other one, which might have failed early just because of only being mounted with 2 out of 3 screws. I have no idea if you can see, because I can't see. But we got our connector in, we got the hose connected up. We have all 3 bolts in. 2 of them are original, 1 of them is a trim screw with a penny washer on it. And it went in no problem and tightened up no problem. So all we need to do, we'll come in, put our PCM back, put the trim piece back up, and then we can start reassembling our dash because we're all in good shape. All right, we still got a little bit of cleanup to do, but everything is done. Let's climb on in and take a look. So we went ahead and reversed the removal assembly, which I know we didn't show, and we also didn't show taking everything, putting it back on. It went so fast. Once again, I forgot I was thinking about filming it. It literally just flew together. So everything went in pretty easily. The dash, a little tough to get the pins in the back. There's little, I would almost call them like this, like little alligators. And on the top, you want to get that above the metal line, and then there's a piece that slots in below. So it's a little tricky to get, there's about 4 of them to get them all lined up and pushed in, and do so without scraping or damaging the airbag. Actually, I didn't find that to really be a problem. It was pretty easy, but just something you want to be on the lookout for. You want to be careful when you're doing that. You don't want to be banging on stuff trying to get it in and hitting the airbag module against some of the stuff underneath the dash supports or whatnot. So take care when you do it. But that went in really easy. The 4 screws went in. Then we were able to get this back in, all the electrical connectors on it put back in. Our daylight sentinel, or whatever you call it, wire up here. Then our instrument cluster. We did the bottom piece under here. But before we did that, actually before we did the bottom piece, the last thing we did was hook our airbags back up. We went ahead and got our stereo in, and everything is in, and it looks awesome. I mean, it really looks almost factory in there. It's a really clean look, which is really great. So I don't know which direction those are supposed to go, but anyway. So what we're at right now, I've put the battery in just lightly. I haven't even tightened the terminal, so hopefully it's enough to run the car. I don't even think we're going to start it, but I want to see if the blower motor works and is quiet. I want to see if the Recirc door works. What else we got? Yeah, let's turn on our fan. Oh, it's so quiet, you don't even hear it. Good. That's working, so our cable's working here. That worked. No noise. It changed it. I heard the door move. Turn it back off. And that's working. AC on. All right, everything's working. Awesome. Perfect. All right, so that's how we're going to end this video. I don't know how it'll come out. Hopefully it comes out all right. We just did a little bit of filming here and there as we did a fair amount of work. So hopefully it's a valuable video just with some tips, even if it wasn't a complete how-to. Super happy that we've fixed our Blendor actuator and we've got a nice quiet blower motor. All right, so we'll have more on this car and more on everything else here we have in Vortex Garage. So drop us a like and a subscribe, and we'll catch you later.